Breaking news: a political bombshell just exploded in the heart of Washington, D.C., and its shockwaves are being felt across the nation. With these words, The Last Word with Lawrence O'Donnell began its most dramatic broadcast of the year on June 22, 2025. From the very first minute, viewers knew this wasn't just another news update. This was something massive, something that could shift the future of American politics forever. In a stunning and unexpected move, the U.S. Department of Justice filed an emergency motion earlier in the day to reopen a federal investigation involving Donald Trump, the former president and current frontrunner for the 2024 Republican presidential nomination. This legal maneuver comes just 3 weeks before the Republican National Convention, where Trump was expected to take center stage and accept the party's nomination once again. But now, that moment is under threat. What happened? According to O'Donnell, and based on verified information from multiple DOJ insiders, a whistleblower has emerged with explosive evidence that could change everything again. This isn't just another opinion. This is not a Twitter rumor or a partisan attack. This is a serious, government-validated legal development that could alter the course of the 2024 presidential election. And here's what makes it even more incredible. The whistleblower came from inside Trump's own legal circle. Reportedly a mid-level advisor involved in election litigation during the final days of 2020. This individual has provided secret audio recordings that allegedly prove Trump knowingly pushed false claims about election fraud, even after being told multiple times by his own legal team that there was no evidence. These tapes, now in the possession of federal investigators, allegedly include Trump discussing how to frame election fraud to keep the base angry and engaged, along with clear statements from campaign lawyers admitting there was no path to overturn the election results. Lawrence O'Donnell was visibly shaken by the scope of the story. "This is not just a new scandal," he said. "This is the return of a legal storm that Donald Trump thought he had left behind. And this time, there may be no escape." MSNBC confirmed through high-level sources that the DOJ is treating the tapes as credible and damning. Their immediate legal response: reopening a case that had been inactive since early 2023, is rare and signals just how seriously this is being taken at the federal level. What does this mean for America? It means that the Republican Party's frontrunner is once again facing the very real possibility of criminal charges. It means the 2024 election is entering completely uncharted territory. And most of all, it means that the truth about what happened after the 2020 election and how close America came to a constitutional crisis may finally be exposed. This is just the beginning. The full implications of this moment are only starting to unfold, and the last word promises to follow every twist and turn. What triggered this sudden legal firestorm? The answer lies in a secret, one that was hidden for nearly 5 years. According to a bombshell report aired on The Last Word with Lawrence O'Donnell, the U.S. Department of Justice was handed explosive audio recordings from a former legal advisor inside Donald Trump's 2020 election team. This individual, now protected under federal whistleblower law, claims to have recorded multiple off-the-record discussions between Trump and senior campaign staff, where they openly acknowledged that their claims of widespread election fraud were baseless. What's even more alarming, the tapes were reportedly recorded in the final days of December 2020. Just weeks before the Capitol riot on January 6, 2021, the whistleblower, who has remained anonymous for now, said in a signed legal affidavit, "I could no longer carry the guilt of staying silent. I was in the room where decisions were made, not about justice but about chaos." These tapes prove they knew the truth and still chose to lie to the American people. MSNBC analysts describe the recordings as deeply incriminating. In one segment, Trump allegedly says, "It doesn't matter if the numbers add up. If we lose everything. We say it was stolen. That's the only move left." Another clip reportedly features a campaign lawyer responding, "There's no path left, sir. We've exhausted the courts. There is no fraud to stand on." These quotes, if authenticated, could dramatically shift the legal and political landscape. MSNBC's Lawrence O'Donnell called it the Watergate tapes of our generation. The DOJ confirmed they are now in possession of the original audio files and have already begun forensic verification. Early results, according to sources close to the investigation, show no signs of digital tampering, a fact that strengthens the case against Trump and his legal allies. The whistleblower is also expected to testify under oath in closed-door hearings within days. Meanwhile, security has been increased for the whistleblower, who has received threats following the leak of their involvement. This development is not just a political scandal. It's a legal powder keg. If the recordings are real and admissible, they could lead to fresh charges of conspiracy, obstruction of justice, and incitement crimes that carry heavy prison sentences. For Trump, the timing couldn't be worse. Just as he prepares to re-enter the spotlight at the Republican National Convention, his legal past has come back to haunt him. And this time, the evidence may speak louder than any rally ever could. As expected, the Trump team didn't take long to fire back, and they came out swinging. Within 2 hours of the story airing on The Last Word, Trump's legal representatives held an emergency press conference in Mar-a-Lago, where attorney Alina Habba stood in front of flashing cameras and declared, "This is a coordinated political hit job by the deep state, the Biden DOJ, and liberal media outlets like MSNBC. These so-called recordings are fabricated. We will prove it." The tone was angry, urgent, and clearly designed to rally Trump's base, many of whom believe the former president is the target of ongoing political persecution. But the press conference left more questions than answers. When asked by a CNN reporter whether the Trump team had listened to the recordings in question, the response was vague. "We've been made aware of their existence through the media, but haven't verified the content ourselves." That response raised eyebrows even among conservatives. Why deny something you haven't even reviewed yet? On his social media platform, Truth Social, Trump posted several fiery statements in all caps, including election interference, deep fake audio, "This is all a hoax again." He also accused the DOJ of weaponizing justice and claimed President Biden was directing the investigation personally, a statement for which no evidence has been provided. Meanwhile, multiple legal analysts on MSNBC, including former U.S. Attorney Joyce Vance, pointed out that the DOJ does not reopen dormant cases on a whim. This isn't about politics, it's about evidence. And when a case is reopened, especially this close to an election, it means the new information is rock solid. Inside the GOP, reactions were mixed. Mitch McConnell refused to comment when questioned on Capitol Hill. Mitt Romney called the news disturbing. Meanwhile, Marjorie Taylor Greene called the whistleblower a government puppet. Behind the scenes, however, insiders report that donors are nervous, especially with the Republican convention just around the corner. There are growing concerns about whether Trump, even if legally allowed, can remain the face of the party. Without dragging down Senate and House races, to make matters worse for Trump, reports also suggest that 2 more insiders from his 2020 campaign may be preparing to cooperate with investigators. If they do, it could create a domino effect, with more tapes, more testimony, and more legal peril. As the story unfolded live, Lawrence O'Donnell hosted a high-stakes panel on his show, one filled with legal experts, political commentators, and former government officials. Sitting across from him was Rachel Maddow, who didn't mince words. "This isn't just about one man's lies. It's about how close we came to losing democracy. These recordings, if real, are the confession tape of a coup attempt." Joining her was former federal prosecutor Neil Katyal, who explained in detail how the recordings could bring new charges. If Trump knowingly lied about election fraud and used those lies to interfere with legal processes or incite action, it's textbook obstruction and criminal conspiracy. Even more chilling was the legal commentary around Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, which prohibits anyone who engaged in insurrection from holding office. Kayak suggested the whistleblower's tapes linked Trump directly to inciting January 6th. While knowing the election wasn't stolen, this could reopen debates about his eligibility to run. In a rare moment of bipartisan concern, former GOP strategist Steve Schmidt added, "The Republican Party is sleepwalking into a disaster." If this is true, Trump is politically radioactive, and yet no one's pulling the plug. The segment ended with Lawrence asking a tough, open-ended question. If this isn't enough to disqualify someone from leading the country again, what is? The silence in the studio spoke louder than words. As the credits rolled on the last word, Lawrence O'Donnell offered one final warning to viewers. Tonight, we witnessed not just breaking news, but a breaking point. The road ahead is uncharted, and America is holding its breath. DOJ has reportedly issued formal subpoenas to former Trump aides, including some who were previously granted immunity in 2022. Sources say these aides may now be required to testify in light of new evidence. Meanwhile, social media has erupted. Hashtag Trump Tapes is trending at #1 on X, formerly Twitter. Millions have viewed leaked snippets of the alleged audio. Conservative influencers are split, with some calling for unity, others suggesting Trump step aside to save the party. D.C. Democrats are preparing to launch public hearings that could bring the whistleblower before the nation live and under oath. Similar to the January 6th committee, these hearings could become must-watch TV for weeks to come. Financial markets also reacted nervously. On Wall Street, uncertainty over the political future caused a minor dip in the Dow. Analysts say if Trump's legal troubles deepen, investor confidence may shake, especially with 2025 economic policies hanging in the balance. But beyond politics and polls, this moment strikes at something deeper: trust. Can the justice system hold powerful figures accountable? Will the truth actually matter in a post-truth political world? Can one person's courage, a whistleblower risking it all, change the course of history? As Americans brace for what comes next, one thing is certain: this story isn't going away. It's only just beginning.